Show.
Podcasting from a brand new comedy club with 4 veteran comics, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we're going to podcast, goddammit. Yeah, we're podcasting from the Comedy Village. So here's the deal. I'm here with my friend Dante Nero, who's been on the podcast before, Dominic, who's been on the show, and then a guy who I should know because he's famous. That's Dan Harumi. And you two can share that one. We'll share this one. And Dante had a great conversation sort of going, and I decided to fuck it up by asking him to record it, which is, what's working for you? How is that fucking you up? And then how do you deal with that? I think is sort of the thing. And Dante had advice for me. I'll let him. It's stuff I've said before, that me doing all this hosting work has really, up until maybe the last year or so with my Instagram success, I've not been able to be me. I'm always like trying to save the show. Dante, you know what? Why don't you explain why my career is going wrong?
When you, Jesus Christ, when you are, I think when you're hosting, your responsibility as a host is to make sure that the show is good. And so you have a tendency to sacrifice your own set to make sure that the energy of the show is good. Whereas everybody, each one of the comics can just go up and do their show. And so if you constantly do that, then you don't, it's hard to remember your own voice. Just like we were saying that you do cruise ships.
Yeah, and 2 years, I'm starting to I'm listening to my set like, yeah. No, here's the thing about toilets.
So it gets you, you have to, so, I guess if you're look, everybody wants to make money, but I've been doing this 24, how long you been in?
So I'm in it 20 years, but if anyone asks, only 5.
All right. Yeah. I'm 24 years in. I've seen guys get deals. Like I remember when Dave Attell did Insomniac, and then because he was doing Insomniac, it was nothing but frat boys that was coming to his shows. And Dave is is an intelligent dude, and he's a great comic. And in the process of that, his fan base was just a bunch of frat boys who were like, whoa, let's do shots, and he hated the audience. And so I've seen that.
See, now here's the difference between me and Attell, because Attell dropped Insomniac because of that, right? We're come back on doing it.
I believe he dropped it.
Let me tell you right now, I will sell out to the first and lowest bidder.
Yeah, you say that until you do it.
I did it. Honestly, I'll argue. Do you think I was ever happy saying, let's all clap for the TV show, everybody? Yeah.
But you do that because you're trying to pay the rent. I'm saying once you get the money in the car and the house and whatever, then the question is, you still got to look at yourself in the mirror when you brush your teeth. And if you're not happy with what you're doing, if there's no authenticity with what you're doing.
See, I love that line about authenticity. You're big on TikTok right now.
Yeah.
Okay, is that working for you as a creative artist, or is it just a part of you?
I think the problem for me is that like all of my energy used to go to write stand-up bits, to go on stage and do stand-up.
Yeah.
Now if I have a funny idea, it just goes straight to TikTok.
Yeah.
I used to just like go on stage, you try to work it out, you get a good clip, crowd work, you do whatever. Now it's like if I have a funny idea, it's just pick up the phone and it's out.
Well, and it's funny, Chase DeRusso was saying this the other day. He put into words what I've been feeling for a year, which is people would rather see a clip of me on the street in a real place that's not New York City discussing a thought of the day rather than a well-crafted joke that I've spent years polishing on the stage.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going through?
Yeah, because you're talking straight to the camera. So people want to just, you're looking right at them and you're telling them your idea. So it's so much more straightforward than have to go on stage and there's waiters.
Yeah, but sometimes it doesn't translate.
Yeah.
Like I have extensive movie credits that did nothing for my numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I've done all kinds of movies and TV and
That's
stuff,
crazy
and it didn't, and nobody cares. And now, Fallon and those dudes are down in 4 days. So now the internet is moving television instead of television moving the internet. So
yeah, Well, like right now, like an easy one is the news moves so quick. Adams was arraigned this morning, and they're all on vacation.
Yeah.
Actually, a podcast I wanted to do was who's worse, Adams or P Diddy?
Yeah.
Who's worse,
Yeah.
Adams or P Diddy?
Diddy.
Why?
Because he raped people.
Yeah. Well, and here's why. Yeah, fine. And here's why I think Adams is worse.
Murder.
Okay, allegedly never convicted. Never
It's
convicted.
got like an airlines upgrade.
Okay.
It's a flight coach. She flew first class. It's
Yeah.
like, all right.
So-
Bad, but it's not Diddy.
So this is my theory on why Adams is worse than Diddy. Diddy would throw parties where awful things would happen, and Adams wished he was invited to them. So that's why I think Adams is worse.
Still early. He might have been.
He might have been. How great! How great would it be if Adams turns out on the list?
You can tell who's worse by who had the most dildos.
Right.
That's
Whose head was big?
784 dildos makes Diddy worse.
Dom, who's worse, Diddy or?
I'm gonna go with Diddy on this
You
one.
gotta
too.
go Diddy. You cannot.
I gotta say Diddy. All the.
Listen, my thing right now is Diddy is yet to be convicted. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
a real twist in all this would be if they kick Adams out of office and make Diddy mayor. That's my twist.
Diddy's in jail not eating because he's afraid he's gonna get poisoned by all the famous people, the powerful people. What you call it? Prince Andrew was at Diddy's party.
Yeah.
The royal family was at Diddy's
You
party.
just reminded me, Eric Adams gave Diddy the key to the city. What? They reminded me on our podcast.
1 year ago in Times Square, you see the picture. His name
You
was
know
Jacob.
Eric was at the party. Come on.
But and there you go, and that's why I say Adams is worse than Diddy. Diddy did the bad behavior, but Adams rewarded it.
Diddy had more
Yeah,
redeeming qualities.
yeah,
He had
yeah.
hit records.
Adams rewarded it like everybody else. Everybody else rewarded Diddy.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, and Adams only caused prisoners to die. Not some of the greatest rappers of all time, allegedly. So
Bring it back to the deep talk here. Dom, we were talking about your cruise ship stuff. I remember you when you were dirt poor, borderline homeless.
right.
Right? Yeah, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Borderline homeless. And yeah, you go fast. You can go switch fast.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. But I remember when you were homeless.
Yeah.
You talked about this on my podcast before.
Yeah.
Now you're finally making money doing cruise ships, but you feel like part of you is dying on the inside.
Yeah, we're not dying on the inside, but I know I'm not. I'm losing my funny. And really, like comedy in New York, this place, just last night, I realized I switched gears, and then I switched it to being funny. I still got it in me to be funny, but it took me a second to be like,
this game is such that you gotta. It's like boxing. If you ain't training, you ain't ready. You ain't a contender. You gotta be on that stage every day. I've seen dudes, who legends get on that stage who wasn't working. I
you can
wasn't
lose
working
it
out.
quick.
Yeah, I've smoked the legends. To
So
come
are
out.
you still getting up every day?
At least 6 to 7 times a week.
Yeah, see, right now the amount of stage time I'm getting is dropped off, and it's starting to hurt me.
Yeah, you can't.
It'll affect you.
Yeah. Sure.
So how do you switch between? I know you have one persona. You're Dante all the time, right?
Yeah, but I did that specifically because I watched guys who changed, became somebody to blow up, and none of those dudes is happy.
So my question for you, Dom, is how do you switch between the different Doms?
Well, I mean, it is one Dom at the end of the day, but I'm just extra governing myself. Everything I say, I don't like on a cruise ship. You don't really have freedom of speech as a comedian because people complain. That's it. That's a rap.
Yeah.
Like so, it's all about reviews. So it's hard to that thing in your head when it says say this.
Yeah.
I kind of calm that down for a second on the ships, and it's hard to. I don't want to get in the habit of doing that. And even my writing, I'm writing like. For these people that are 70 and 80 years old, 90 years
They're
old.
not funny. That's why they almost dead.
No, I got burned on that the other day. I did a charity gig, and I was auctioneering. And this is me selling out. That pays well, but I was auctioneering, paying the rent, and nobody was bidding on whatever was being bid on. And I said, folks, I had more generosity at a free Diddy rally last night. Nobody laughed. Just kind of like this moment right now. Speed through the story. Okay, I need to know why you're in that pink dress. Is it a prom? That is a beautiful dress. Birthday, happy birthday. Thank God we didn't show the girl because I would have wound up on Diddy's list for enjoying that dress. What about you? So, how do you switch between the different versions of you?
I'm doing a lot of stuff right now. It's just like TikTok shit, like I was saying. It's not good for you.
It's not good for you?
Nah, I want to be back in the mix. You know how it is.
But the mix doesn't pay as well.
That's true. Dude, when TikTok is always on, I can do this shit all day long. I don't got to leave the house.
Yeah, see, I was going through a day of I forced myself to leave the house to kiss PJ Lander's ass, so hopefully I start getting booked here. Hopefully doing a podcast here on his stoop. By the way, this is the Comedy Village. Great comedy club. Definitely come here, people. And yeah, my thing is, man, I don't know. Like I'm trying to find my medium voice.
Yeah.
And I guess I ask you this because you've always given me advice.
Just, bro, I always realize this: no matter what, if you murder,
Right.
you just murder. This everywhere you go, murder. I've opened for all Burr, Colin, Greg Girard, all those dudes, Patrice, and when you put heat on the headliner, they stop calling you.
Wow.
That's just the way it is. And I used to take offense to it, but it's a thing. It's your coming of age where somebody goes now. You hope that you have the following that you can transition to headlining on your own. But if you don't, then
when you first started, and you've been a killer for 24 years.
Yeah.
When you felt you were overshadowing the people you were opening
I don't
for.
go back.
No?
No, I'm gonna murder you.
Right, you can't pull back.
I'm gonna chop your head off. If you a youngster, I'm chopping your head off.
But did you have enough
If
of a
you a
following to
killer-
transition ahead?
No, I'm murdering you. You gonna get me.
You're gonna feel it.
And if you don't get me, you're gonna be talking. And if I go up before you and they don't know no better, somebody gonna you're gonna see people sweating because I'm cutting your head off.
Yeah.
Everybody. I don't care if you got the Netflix special, I'm chopping your head off. Because how do you know when the set is that you do the set that somebody goes, yo,
Right.
who is that? Like I just said, I went to England, was murdering, just cutting heads off.
Right.
And they let me, and because I didn't have the politics of New York, I'm working everywhere in London. So
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, I'm happy when I'm on stage. I mean, how shitty is it that you have to do something? I've done cruise ships. I don't do cruise ships because I feel soulless. No offense,
No, but you know
I
what
just.
it is.
No, but what I like about where you're at right now is you found another way to pay the bills that's not comedy. Like, I have a belief that real comedians who make money do something besides comedy to make money for the ones we know.
There's some guys that do. Very few guys make it as comics. Everybody make it as something else, and then they
come back to
comedy. They do. But there's some dudes that make it as comedy, and some dudes that make it other ways. But now, it doesn't even matter. It's your following. It's just people, and it's so specific now that you could do Rogan, and it mean nothing. Because if his people are not,
right.
That's not who you fuck with. Then they don't fuck with you.
Wow.
Here's a crazy thing I would say. Don Lemon, everybody knows Don Lemon. Don Lemon got fired from CNN, right? Went on and started his own podcast. He has a podcast, a news podcast now. He has 200,000 followers. Angela Rye, Tiffany Cross, all of them had shows, left and did they got 60,000 on it.
Right.
So given an opportunity on YouTube, people didn't choose them. People know them because they were on CNN on that platform, and you had no choice. But given an opportunity to choose them, nobody chose them. And Don Lemon, who you would think as soon as he hit and did his own podcast, but he's grinding. He's grinding.
Yeah. And that was what I was just sort of saying before. Is I think everybody's got to find a way, a gimmick. This is the smartest thing I'm going to say. If any of you repeat this, you have to quote me on this. Andy Warhol once said that everybody's going to be famous for 15 minutes. Then the internet came out and they said everybody's going to be famous for 15 seconds. Tom Kelly says everybody's going to be famous for only 15 people, and you better figure out how to make money off them. And you have your consulting for dating and
I was doing that. It was something that I've always done relationship stuff. I did a radio show with Patrice in 2006 to 2008. And then I did a podcast in 2011. But now I do consultations because I've always done that. So I don't want to do any. Even when it comes to shooting a sketch, dudes will be like, "Yo, shoot it." I'm like, "You ain't shooting no sketch, though." But I will.
You won't shoot a sketch.
I ain't shooting a sketch.
Dom needs a bouncer in a sketch. You're not going to do it. Dan needs a bouncer on a TikTok. No.
I'm doing it. I mean, because it's
Don't have to ask.
and then I'm not. And then my people who they either gonna fuck with me because of my comedy or because of my relationship stuff. I'm not. Then I got another dude who calls me up because, oh, I saw you on. Yeah, you can have it.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the people that fuck with me than the people that don't.
Yeah.
It's nothing worse than, I remember when Patrice did Web Junk 20, and he was doing colleges all over, and
You hated that show.
and these little white girls was hiring him to come to University of Alabama, and they were like, "Hi, how you doing? It's great to have you here."
Yeah.
And it's like you don't even know what you about to get. So it's like, dog, I heard this, like I maybe I'm talking out the side of my face, but Sebastian went that Italian.
Yeah.
He's not that dude.
Wow.
So then when you watch his last special where he tried to do, because he's not the mooks that they come see him. That's where his audience is, but he's not a mook like that.
Wow.
And so then when he did the special where he wore the tuxedo,
Yeah.
which I thought was one of his best sets,
It didn't rate well.
they turned against him. They was like, nah, sonny, go back to the weird thing.
That would be my biggest fear. I would hate like that Simpsons episode that I didn't do it. I would hate to get famous for some bullshit. Like if one little thing, I mean, of course I'd love the money too, but imagine if I always had to act like if I did one skit where I'm like, how y'all doing? And then,
But then there's another thing. A
Ernest
guy,
goes to camp.
but I'll go crazy on this one. A guy who used to work at and I think he's still alive. I think he's still there. He worked at Regis. His name's Art Moore, and Art used to say that he would basically manage like the Channel 7 news anchors, and everybody wanted to be network, and then they go be network, work at the network for a couple of years, and then the network would kind of forget about them and they disappear. And Art Moore's line was, people always leave where they're loved, and that's their biggest mistake. When they leave where they're loved, looking for something bigger, and then they find out it's not there.
Everybody love me for who I am, not for some facade or what I am, because I mean we do, right? It's all right. So it's like we do what we do, so we don't have to work a job.
Right.
So now you're gonna make the thing that you love into something that you don't love because somebody go, you can have that.
You're quiet, you're standing up there. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, man. Still thinking about what he said about Don Lemon.
You
Who would watch a Don Lemon show?
know,
Who was like, I get people watch CNN's on the airport or something. But
you know what's funny? I don't
Go
know.
home and watch some Don Lemon.
But to your point, I don't know if I've ever watched Don Lemon or anybody on CNN with the sound on. It's just a few closed captions and whatnot.
That's how Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
I'd watch Stephen A. Smith do something else, but it's like Don Lemon. I wouldn't
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
him talk about baseball.
Yeah. But Angela Rye, Tiffany Cross, and Andrew Gillum, who I think he ran for governor, right?
Yeah,
They have a podcast. They have 60,000 followers.
that's a lot, right?
No,
Nah.
not when you.
Not for that
You're on
much talent.
Not when you Angela Rye.
You're the number
Tiffany-
one news set. Like almost.
And who doesn't know Angela Rye and Tiffany Cross? You know what I'm
It's
saying?
crazy when makes me feel better about my 143K.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the other thing too.
Spreading
Is,
fake news.
I'm gonna go with this other theory: is we're not making fans anymore. We're all just making friends. And at this point, like it's funny. iHeartMedia, if you read, like they're the radio company, right? If you read what they're about making personal, like it's bullshit because it's big and corporate, but we're about making personal connections and friends with people. And I read that today, and I'm like, oh my god, that's what I'm doing right now. Don Lemon, problem is Don Lemon, he's a broadcaster. He's not your friend.
I'll tell you something. We're not even going to have, with streaming services, I don't believe we're going to have Tom Cruise's or Robert De Niro's no more. Actors are signing contracts with streaming services directly so that they contracts. So if you don't stream Hulu, there's actors on Hulu that you don't know because like if you've never seen a Mission Impossible, you've seen Tom Cruise on Oprah, on Ellen, on Fallon, on Jay Leno, like this, and so you knew them. So they were mega. Why do you think Tom Cruise jumped off the fucking stadium at the Olympics? Because these young kids don't know who. Everybody's going, yo, who's the dude that jumped off? Why did he jump off?
It's funny, for as desperate as I am for fame, I'm not that desperate. But I am desperate enough to play that party in Alabama, that little pretty girls in SEC and whatnot.
You can have that. Well, I gotta.
I think we got it. We hit 20 minutes. What are we at?
2030. Yeah.
Perfect. We got a show. Close it up. Listen, these are my friends. Quick, Dom, tell everybody where to follow you.
Dominic, Leonelli, thank you guys. Dry Salami podcast too. Check it out.
Dante, what are we
Dante
selling?
Nero. My podcast is Man School 202 Relationship Podcast. And I do one-on-one consultation at DanteNero.com. Click on consult. Got me.
And one thing I'm sure of is I have an audience full of people not getting laid. You need Dante. Quick, where do we get you?
Dan Harumi on Instagram.
How do you spell that? We need to spell.
Harumi.
Yeah, I was nowhere near that. All right. And listen, folks, we're at the Comedy Village here in New York City. My friend PJ Lander's new club. Tell them that. Oh my God, Mario Bosco just showed up. Quick, babe. Quick. Just wave, Mario. Just wave. We'll get you on the next one. All right. And until next time, folks, show love where love can be shown. Thank you for enjoying a real comedy hang with us. And good night, New York City.